Elon Musk just got taken down on the floor of Congress today, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer schmuck. Hair plugs, Il Duce of Doge, the destroyer of worlds. Well, okay, make that the destroyer of companies like Tesla and X. The self-admitted ketamine addict and the newly non-elected president of the Gulf and States of America holds one other high honor. He is the most hated man in America. Sure, the MAGA minions are cheering him now, but just wait until some of these policies and cuts hit home. Just ask the state of Tennessee. Tennessee is muskmelon country. They love Trump. They love MAGA, and they love Doge. So what does Tennessee care that Muskrat just illegally dismantled USAID and left poor people to starve? Those people aren't Americans. And MAGA is all about America first. Well, they might just think twice, because here's how destroying USAID is destroying farmers in Tennessee. Soybeans are the number one cash crop of the state of Tennessee, and guess who one of their biggest buyers is? Give you a hint, they distribute food overseas. There are 4 large-scale soybean farms that just lost out. The University of Tennessee just lost $25 million to manage a farmer-to-farmer program that helps farmers with overseas marketing, and the agricultural system in general is now going to lose out, making $8.54 for every $1 that USAID programs invest. Let's see how popular Mr. Dark MAGA is going to be in Tennessee the next couple of years. And today, Muskmelon had staged a press conference in the Oval Office with Trump playing babysitter. If that doesn't tell you who's in charge around here, nothing will. And you gotta love how the little guy there looks at Trump like, what are you doing in my space, buddy? But as I mentioned before, the real problem with the Duce of Doge taking control is that he has bumped Moscow Marjorie from the national stage. Nobody gets to hear her rants anymore. And she is certainly on the outside looking in from the Trump administration, which largely ignores her now. Her one compensation? She gets to chair the Doge Committee in Congress. Yeah, even B6 Marge knows that's not even remotely close to being a cabinet position. She's going to wield about as much power as the average Shih Tzu on a leash. So as Doge MAGA rips through our Constitution, Democrats search for ways to resist and oppose, thanks to Chuck Schumer's inability to think strategically and plan ahead. Well, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia exercised 2 important resistance tactics. He delegitimized both Musk and Taylor Greene, and he brought receipts for his searing criticism of what Doge is doing. Watch this.
Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Greene, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Greene literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing, so I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Greene. But I also want to run through what Doge actually is going to do. It's a demolition plan that's going to run through our government. Doge is trying to abolish the Department of Education. That means opportunities denied to kids. It means you're ripping away opportunities for children with disabilities who are dependent on this money. You're also halting medical research, which is also critical, which we have to also stop. The idea that we're going to eliminate or destroy the Department of National Institutes of Health, NIH, is crazy. Let's talk about the Department of Labor. We're talking about protections for working people across this country, where people can actually complain about abuses their companies are making against them and their coworkers. Workers are now going to be in danger. And let's also talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, another huge issue for us. Think about the scammers and fraudsters that will be empowered across this country, because Elon Musk wants, essentially, these companies have more power over consumers and over people across this country. Look at the Centers for Disease and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That is actually what's being discussed partly today. Healthcare, we're talking about being denied to millions of poor people, working class people across this country. And now, of course, they're on to their largest target, the U.S. Social Security Administration. We're talking about the destruction of the actual social safety net in this country.
So if you're sitting there asking, did he just call Elon Musk a certain part of the male anatomy? The answer is yes. Yes, he did. That's worth watching twice.
Last Congress, Chairwoman Greene literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing. So I thought I'd bring one as well.
And he did it while all the while making fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what you call hitting two bird brains with one stone. See, and every time you start asking, couldn't we just return Texas to Mexico? Say, oops, sorry, you can have it back? Then someone like Garcia or Jasmine Crockett steps up and reminds us there's a lot of good Democrats in Texas. So maybe they could just leave before we give Texas back to Mexico? But make no mistake about it, this was a complete and total takedown of what Elon Musk Melonhead is up to. Democrats cannot stop talking about how all this Doge cost cutting is actually covering up the biggest fraud and waste in our government, the federal contracts that Musk's company receives. When is that going to be investigated? Answer, as soon as Democrats come back to power. It's time to start focusing on the midterms. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.